How's it going today, guys? Original Asherella here, and I'm going to keep today's video as short as I possibly can. You guys know I have a tendency to ramble, and I'm going to try not to do that today. But a few weeks ago, I made a video called Confessions of a One-Time Onision Fan, because I, regrettably, was a one-time an Onision fan for a very short period in time, but I even pledged to his Patreon. I really didn't like the way that video turned out. I didn't like how long it ended up being. I didn't like how I said a few things in the video, so I have it set to private now, and I want to retell my story of being a one-time, one-month Onision patron. But before I get into that, make sure you like and subscribe, follow me on my socials. Remember, every time a new person hits the subscribe button on Original Asherella, a YouTuber named Original Asherella has an improvement in her self-esteem. For no additional cost and very little extra effort, you can hit the notification bell, and it will really boost your self-worth. So do it today. I think that's funny. Do you guys like that? I think it's pretty funny. But anyway, so, okay, my story as a one-time, regrettably, Onision fan. It's been, several years back now. Like, he had a Patreon at this point. He had kind of peaked in his popularity on YouTube, but was not anywhere where he is now. I remember the I'm a banana thing. I remember all the banana memes and Tosh and stuff like that, but I had no, draw to him or his comedy at the time. But, being on YouTube, one time an Onision video came up in my recommended. So I clicked on it, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but whatever it was, I found it funny. I think it was an uh-oh bro video, and then the next one that played might have been like a Speaks video, like an Onision Speaks, like, who cares what you have to say, Greg? But anyway, initially, the first few videos I saw, it was this person that seemed to be genuinely, concerned about some, what could be looked at as some taboo, social issues, self-harm, eating disorders, mental illness, things like that. And he was very blunt and very, crass about what he was saying, but I thought there was, an emotional depth there that was, beneficial. I thought he was one of those kind of people that are, blunt and crass for the greater good. Raw in the way they deliver their message, but sometimes, some people just need to be, sat down and told how it is, for their greater good. And that's initially what I thought Onion Man was doing. In addition to that, he had, 9 Inch Nails posters in the background, Dragon Ball stuff in the background, Rick and Morty stuff in the background, a pride flag, Nirvana stuff, and I'm like, I love 9 Inch Nails, I love Rick and Morty, I'm a Super Saiyan, I support equality among all people, no matter how they identify sexually, I love Nirvana, I love Kurt Cobain, and I was like, oh, I'm really enjoy this person's content. So I subscribed to his channels, and I learned that he had a Patreon from the videos. I go on to Patreon. At that time, I had not pledged to any Patreons whatsoever at this point. And so I really didn't know what it was about. But I went on, I signed up at the $5 tier. I wasn't sure if it was one of those things that was going to be hard to get out of, if I decided I didn't want to stay a member or a patron. So I used a card that was expiring soon, just in case it was one of those things that was really big fees to get out of, that was that. And then maybe about a week or so goes by. I hadn't really watched any more Onision videos, but I got on YouTube, and I guess I didn't have much else to do, but I basically binge watched a bunch of Onion Man videos. And by the end, I was so disgusted by this person. After this binge watching session, it was okay, this person is most definitely narcissistic. He contradicts himself in every other video. He's super hypocritical in a lot of the things he says. Judgmental in a way that's not okay. And just kind of creepy in general. I saw through his bullshit immediately and unsubscribed. But, right before I did that, while I was, a patron, maybe a few days after I had signed up, I sent him a message through Patreon, because at that time, you guys know I'm a vegetarian. If you don't know, I'm a vegetarian. I was planning on creating my channel as like a vegetarian cooking channel because I like really like to cook and I was really into that like at the time, and that's what I thought I wanted to do with like my YouTube channel. And because Onion Man and Kai are, you know, they claim to be very militant vegans and very like vegetarian and basically treat anybody who eats meat like shit. But I don't have a problem with meat either. Like, we are humans, we're at the top of the food chain. It's called a food chain for a reason. We don't have to eat meat now as far as like the evolutionary process goes. But I don't care if you eat meat. I personally don't. But anyway, I was doing a lot of vegetarian cooking. I was gonna do vegetarian cooking videos, and I was like, hey, so this is what I'm doing. It would be really cool if you guys could maybe like, you know, subscribe to the channel or maybe follow me since this is something you guys align with really bigly. And I basically got a really cold and short message back that said, no, you don't pledge enough money for us to like subscribe to your channel or follow you on socials. And I will admit, you know, I did have a little bit of like, well, that will definitely give me like a good boost if a person like this, you know, subscribes to my channel or even comments on any of my videos or on my socials. But I thought it wasn't like I was asking them to, or him, Greg, to like subscribe to my channel about like car mechanics or like, you know, soap making or anything like that. It was something that, you know, he claims to be super passionate about, like vegetarianism and veganism. But anyway, because it was like, yeah, you don't give us enough money to like pay attention to you. And so that was really off-putting. And then it was a few days later that I had this binge watching session. And after those two interactions, I was like, nah, you know, and I unsubscribed from the Patreon. And I didn't fill out one of those, you know, why are you unpledging surveys, because I had seen videos of him like ripping people a new one for unpledging, and at the time I was like, I don't want that to happen to me. But now I really wish I had of and like not been filtered, because I mean it literally took me less than 2 weeks of watching this person's, it didn't even take me that long, but it was like a 2-week fandom span. Not even 2-week fandom span. And one, you know, binge watching session for me to be like, oh my god, this person is a total, like, crazy, scary, dangerous narcissist. You could see, even through his videos then, that he had, like, an affliction, a tendency to be drawn toward teenagers. And, I mean, you know, he was very close to, like, 30 at this time. Maybe even 30. And it was just weird. Like, you know, after watching several videos, you're like, something here is definitely not right. Now, I was a full-fledged adult at the time. And that being said, I want to say, yeah, man, I could see how, like, a preteen or a young teen, Asherella, might have been, like, amused or entertained by this person. So all of these teenagers that are falling like under, or have fallen under Greg's like weird like grip, you know, kids that don't have experience dealing with all these different types of personalities and might consider themselves a little like edgy or, you know, counterculture-esque or whatever. You know, you never know. But, you know, finally something is happening with Greg and Kai. They are finally being held accountable. Greg is currently trying to sue Chris Hansen and Repsion. You know, it's speculated that he's going to try to, like, sue them for slander. But here's the thing, Gregory, my not friend. It's not slander if it's true, and nothing anybody's ever said about you publicly is fake. We know that Chris Hansen showed up at his door. He wouldn't talk. We know that not that long ago, Onion's 2-year-old daughter fell out of a second-story window and had skull fractures, and he filmed her afterwards. This guy is a total creep, and he's so gross and dangerous. He's just I'm so glad something's finally happening. Like, the FBI is investigating it. You know, the Chris Hansen investigation has brought it into kind of like the mainstream media, and anybody that's got a story they can tell about him, like, they need to do it. You know, until they are behind bars, we just need to keep on telling our story. One last thing I want to talk about before the end of the video is this YouTube video that came out a couple of days ago. This lady, and she's like totally like a lady. I don't really want to call her a Karin, because she's not really like a Karin. She's more like a Karin. Like, she's like an enlightened, and I say that in quotation marks, Karin. Like, thinks that she's like, you know, she's like super judgmental, but like, because she thinks she's so like enlightened and worldly, that her opinion is right. And anyway, she did this video talking about Chris Hansen, discrediting the way that he has been doing this investigation on YouTube, saying that the guests that he has had on, like, they're not relevant. Like, why is he having on like Jacqueline Glenn and people like that? And it's like basically discrediting all the guests that he's had on, other than the girls who had been groomed and, you know, had these relationships with Onion Man. It was like she was insinuating that Hansen had Jacqueline and Blair on for some reason, like, other than for them to tell their stories and about their personal interactions with Onion Man. Like, as if he had them on there for clout, or to like look cool on YouTube since they're big YouTubers or something. It was obvious that she didn't watch the interviews, because if she had, she would have known they were telling what their personal experience with this creeptastic creeper would have been. It's like, you presumptuous bitch, you don't even, you're talking about something and you hadn't even watched it. Everybody that has been on has had personal interactions and been harassed by Onion Man, and even if they are on there as like solely like a character witness in the situation, like, what they have to say about the situation is very, very valid. She also talks about how people are doing videos on Onision for clicks and views, and I don't remember her exact words, but it was like, you know, using this like sexual assault of these girls to boost for like clout, or to like boost their channel. It's like, lady, what do you think that you're doing with your video? Like, most of us that are making videos about Onion Man have some like long-term opinion on he and his behavior, like, that have been aware of who he is. I was like a brief patron, you know, other people have had direct interactions or have been watching this shit show of a person for years. And, you know, she only heard of Onion Man like a couple of months ago when it got into the headlines, and it was the biggest piece of hypocritical garbage that I have ever seen. And I actually left a comment on her video asking her why, if she cared so much about, you know, the victims or the investigation, or even like Chris Hansen and like the integrity of investigative journalism, why she's making a public rant video about it. Why, if she really cared, she would have reached out directly to Chris Hansen rather than making a YouTube video about it. And she's like, how dare you? And then she goes like into like this story about the AIDS quilt at the end, because, you know, she's so like righteous and so much better than everybody else, and what she has to say is so, her opinion is so much like more woke. But like, it was laughably hypocritical. Like, I cannot stand people like that, like judging people for being judgmental. It just doesn't make any sense. A couple other tubers have done videos about that video, and you'll be able to find it. I'm not the only person that's been talking about it, but like, yeah, we're dealing with a whole new level of Karin with people like this. And like, at the end, she goes into this like anecdote, and she's like, I've got a personal anecdote because I know you like those. Like, who likes those? But anyway, she starts going into this like random story about the AIDS quilt. And, oh, she misgenders Kai. And while I think Kai is a total trash person, like, that's not okay. And it wasn't accidental. It was very, like, uninformed. But anyway, she was basically saying that anybody that's, like, talking about Onion Man and Kai, you know, that they're not contributing anything to, like, this situation. And goes into, like, tries to, like, make this metaphor about, like, the AIDS epidemic in the early 90s and the AIDS quill. And, like, if you see this lady, us out here that are talking about Onion Man and not letting people forget about what's going on and not let the victims be forgotten, you know, we are doing this and we're going to keep doing this until Onion Man and Kai see some type of consequence for their behavior. We are to this situation what the AIDS quilt is to the AIDS epidemic in the 90s. Like, all of our videos are different patches in this awareness that Greg and Kai Jackson are grooming children and predators. How do you not get that? You're supposed to be so enlightened and so educated and so, like, knowledgeable. How do you not understand that? How don't you get it? That is what we're doing. How dare you? How dare you not understand? How dare you not get why we're making these videos? Like, you are so lame. Like I said, they're Karens. Enlightened Karens, like SJW Karens. Oh, and she even talks about, like, SJW snowflakes, and it's like, bitch, how do you think you're coming off in this video? It was, like, repulsive. Just, it was so bad, and I just had to get that off my chest. But anyway, that's it for today, guys. Make sure you follow me on my socials, leave me a like, leave me a dislike. Engagement is engagement. And just remember, every time a new person subscribes to Original Asherella, a YouTuber named Original Asherella has a vast improvement in her self-esteem for no additional cost and very little extra effort. You, too, can help boost her self-worth. So do it today. Don't wait. Thank you, guys. That's all I have to say. If you were ever a fan of Onision or ever subbed to his Patron or pledged to his Patron, let me know about your experiences down there. Have you seen the video I'm talking about this, like, Karin, how dare you? It's horseshit. Like, oh my god, it's so cringy. It's like hard to even watch because, like, she's as delusional as Onion Man about, like, who she is and what she's saying. But anyway, always tap in, never tap out, and keep on slaying like a Saiyan.